I definitely feel like it's a combination of both. Being like a D1 athlete, obviously you have a lot of expectations placed on you by your coach and your team. And over track and field, it's a bit different because some people view it as an individualized sport, but for example, like in a relay, you have people really counting on you. But also just like the pressure you put on yourself to perform well can be sometimes be debilitating because you want to do well so badly that sometimes you get in your own way. It's definitely both in my opinion.
Maddie said to us earlier that your biggest critic is yourself, and I feel like as an athlete, we all have very high expectations for our performance, and we all want to output the numbers that we expect of ourselves. But I feel like that would be the most is the pressure we put to ourselves because we want to perform well for ourselves, for our families, for our team, and succeed together.
You know, I would add, before our Atlantic 10 championship in the fall, I called my coach crying because I had been sick, and I knew I wasn't gonna perform to a level I thought I could, which was a top 10 runner in our conference. And my coach was laughing at me, and he said, "Bobby, you were a walk-on. I've never asked you to be a top 10 runner in our conference. I've just asked you to be yourself." And put your best effort out there, run the best Bobby Hasty race you have in you on the day. And that was very helpful to just lower my own expectations, and it comes back to kind of why we got into our sports whenever we did, just go out, have fun, try your best. And I keep it that simple.
I guess in the context of more than an athlete, you guys are all upperclassmen. How do you feel kind of thinking, oh, the end of my athletic career is coming to an end kind of quickly? How do you kind of come to terms with that and kind of take stock with that with what you're doing in your lives?
I can speak on that a little bit. So my sport's softball, and I was really stressed out trying to think about what I could do to either stay in the sport after school or just figure out a way to just keep playing. And I think I'm going to be coaching over the summer, so I think staying in it that way, just myself being involved and slowly leading myself out of the sport is going to help a lot because I know going to a complete stop is going to be really hard. So I think staying in it some way, whether it's just going to watch games or coach or give lessons or do whatever, is going to be really helpful for me just to stay in it.
So we had a question in the back there.
Do you guys ever find yourself thinking back and saying, I could have done more, I could have lifted more, I could have gotten extra reps after practice, and how would you suggest or give any advice on how to not think like that?
I think the term you're talking about is just regrets. You're always gonna have that. So it's kind of really important just to kind of live in the present and just kind of do as much as you can right now, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. You can't do everything, but just kind of do what you can do, and just kind of live up to your capability, and that will you'll be at ease in the future. So yeah.
I would say too, for me, I'm kind of at the point where I say I go, lift for an extra hour. I might wake up the next day and be I can't walk. I'm not going to be able to go to practice and do my best. So I feel I don't know, it's a balance. I feel doing extra is good, but you also got to be smart about it. I feel that's one thing for me that I've been trying to do more of, work smarter, not harder. Even well, that's pretty cliche. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think going off of that too, just knowing yourself and what you need in different situations is really important. So we just played a tournament this past weekend, and on Monday, all I wanted to do was just lay down and rest because that's what I needed. So I think keeping that in mind that you don't always have to go out and do those extra reps and lift more. Sometimes you really just need to rest and think about yourself and take care of yourself first, because if you can't do that first, you're not going to be able to go and lift heavier and do those extra reps. So I think just taking care of yourself is really important too.
Yeah, and one thing we're stressing here is that like being involved in other things too, to take your somewhat take your mind off your sport every once in a while. That being productive with the time you have and giving. I mean, something my coach said to me earlier this year, that every swing I have in my senior year or my last year of eligibility is counting down to my last. So taking every swing productively and having the opportunity to know I put the work in the time that was given to me. Where then after I can go do my homework, I can go to my meetings for other things and everything and take my mind off of it and know I did what I did at practice. And then tomorrow's a new day to restart.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that question. I would say in terms of making sure you're working hard and all those types of things, make sure you use the resources of our high performance team, trainers, position coaches, and work with them to set goals and work toward those goals daily, so you don't have regrets in the back end. Set those benchmarks and work toward them, and then you'll reach everything you want to reach.
Okay. So as upperclassmen, I know that the freshmen and the sophomores, mainly the freshmen, look up to you as to what you could do on and off the field. So my question is, once you guys leave the university officially, what impact would you like to leave on a freshman to carry on a legacy? Randy, that was a great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
So for example, my girls with the track team, hi guys, all the freshmen over there. One thing that we've been doing specifically has been like DEI meetings and kind of using those, not even just talking about like diversity in terms of like ethnicity, race, LGBTQ+, but also talking about just how to exist in a space where you can talk openly, just about anything, kind of just being who you are. And that's like one of the main things that we try to stress them, that this is something we want y'all to carry on when we're gone, because we want this team to be a space where you can be who you are and not just be a runner. Years prior it wasn't like that. So I hope that those things have had an impact on them that can continue on in the future.
I also think just like leading by example, because actions speak louder than words. So like if you're a good teammate and you're showing that to other people and you're getting in all your reps and doing the extra work, they're going to notice and they're going to see that, and they're going to see how your teammates treat you, your coaches treat you, and hopefully that carries on to them, so they're going to want to do the same thing. So I think just making sure that you're being a good teammate and putting out what you want others to be. Like if I was a freshman and I'm looking up at someone else, I would want them to pass down those traits to me so that I could be like them.
I would say someone who is honest with himself and honest with everyone else. I know, and I've reflected a lot about it personally, that through COVID, I have always been so driven about my sport that I didn't really understand why people weren't, and I was like, honestly, just a terrible teammate, holding people to a standard that they weren't holding themselves to, and reflecting on that, just realizing that people react to situations differently, react to criticism differently, and this year I've tried to kind of change that. Everyone's going through their own things, and just being a good leader means being a good listener, being a good friend, and obviously, like we all talked about, setting that example, pushing yourself, but you can't push your work ethic onto other people, and that is something I hope to like leave with the team.
So, I'd say, basically, as cliche as it sounds, like you're more than an athlete. So start doing things that are gonna prepare you for life after track. I know I wish I would have been more involved my freshman year or sophomore year. And I try to push this on like guys who are younger than me, but kind of get interested in things outside of your sport. So when you graduate, when you leave, like you have kind of other things to look at and look forward to. So I'd say just kind of focus on things that outside of your sport.
What are some of the misconceptions and stereotypes based upon student athletes?
I I guess I'd say the biggest stereotype is just like kind of lack of intelligence. Like, you know, everyone just kind of always assumes that you're smart, but you're probably like, you know, you're an athlete, so like you're not that smart. So I think it's like that's a big one for me. Just kind of like, I guess you could say, exceeding expectations. You know, just trying your hardest in whatever you do academically. So it's the biggest one for me.
I feel like one of the big ones to overcome is just like the privilege that the term student athlete comes with, that you get to miss class, but they don't see you have to take a test on Thursday instead of Friday, that that something of you're getting dinner fed to you, but you're eating at 9 o'clock because that's when the bus gets in, or something like that.
I think we touched on this earlier a little bit, but just like giving off the notion that you have it all together. Like I know I talked about this earlier, that I went to CAPS. Not many people knew that I like was struggling mentally. Freshman year, I don't even know if my coaches knew, but that was something that I wanted to keep inside because I was like, oh, I'm an athlete, I need to have it all together, but you don't. So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I thought coming into my freshman year, but now I've learned that it's not. It shouldn't be like that. It's not like that.
Yeah, to bounce back off that, I know I mentioned that before, kind of a similar thing of the stereotype that all athletes have to be strong. I think of, like, for example, Simone Biles or Naomi Osaka, who came out recently talking about their mental health struggles on the global stage, which I thought was super awesome and influential, in terms of just making it more normal for athletes to have moments where they're not okay. So I think that is definitely one that is not only like very consistently a stereotype, but also can be very dangerous. So definitely that is something watch out for yourself and also for your teammates.
You guys hit it all. Any other questions there?
We have time for one more. I think this is a good one. Why is it important to recognize the accomplishments of student athletes outside the lines and fields of play?
I feel like it's important to recognize that stuff because it helps other athletes understand that there is more to life than just your sport. That they're not the only ones that struggle with their identity when they come into college, especially the freshmen, or realize that maybe there is something that they would like to be involved in as well, that they would be interested in by seeing another athlete doing it and be like, oh, I can do that too? Okay, cool. Like, let me contact them and see how they got into it.
I would say that kind of going off what Olivia talked about earlier, that we're kind of put on this platform, this upper echelon, and if we can show that we are struggling too, like, hey, we're humans too. I think that, or we're doing good things in the community, just showing that we're not solely focused on our sport. We're people. That's kind of what it boils down to.
I think also you're not going to be playing your sport forever, so like being able to have accomplishments outside of your sport and athletics is super important because you're going to be able to use those in the real world, like after you're done playing. So being able to recognize that while you're playing is even more important because it shows that you can multitask and do more things at once.